If you want to save money on your trading card purchases, we have a promo link over at 50cards.shop. Enter the promo code @night to get 5% off your order. Hey everybody, welcome to Nexus at Night, your weekly Vanguard podcast. I'm Atlas.
I'm Root Beer. We
Matt's
assume
dead.
Matt's dead.
Or asleep. When we record these, it's like 10 p.m. for him, so there's like...
He has to get up at like 5.
Yeah. Now, granted, it is a Friday, so that's less so, but just in general, it's hard for him. And like, so, look behind the scenes. Anyway, today we're doing a set review of DZBT 02, Illusionless Strife. So to those who haven't heard any of these before, what we do is we go through the triple R's all the way down through the double R's, talking about each card and then the set on the whole, and then we move on with our lives. So because Matt's not here, Root Beer and I are taking the nations that he usually takes. So I'll be taking Dark States, Cater Sanctuary, and Stoicheia, and by process of elimination, he's got the other three. So let's get into it with this first guy. And there we go.
Okay. Drag Connector Andra. So at the beginning of your main phase, rest it. Choose up to one card, one grade 2 or less card with Gry in its name, and one grade 2 or less card with Andra in its name. Call them to rearguard circle. And this unit gets red text once per turn. At the end of the battle, your rearguard with Andra and its card name attacked. Put that unit and a rearguard with Gry in its name into your soul. Stand this unit, and all your front row unit gets power plus 10,000 until end of turn.
It's a good thing that Denial Griffin doesn't exist in Standard. Just like, I can just imagine, hey, I got a Vanguard restander, and oh, you killed my thing mid-battle. Okay, all right. I guess that shuts off my whole turn. Thanks.
Yeah, and because it's relevant, Andra is a grade 2 in the ride line, so if you have Gry, which is the grade 1, and you would ride Andra, the grade 3, you can ride it without discarding. And then if you have on rearguard circle, if you have a Vanguard with Gry in its card name, it gets 5k. And then the grade 1 version of Gry is if you have the grade 0 starter and you would ride the grade 2 from your right deck, you can ride without discarding. And at the start of the battle phase, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Gry, you rest the grade 1, and then you give Andra, the grade 2, the ability to attack from back row and 10k.
That's kind of cool. So all right. So this guy, it's a restander, but he rests himself for the cost. I don't know how I feel about this.
Yeah. So not really a restander, right? So like the fourth attack comes from you, like attacking with the 2 from the back row, and then like the Vanguard restands itself.
Or stands itself.
Yeah.
Where's the re? It's not attacking. It's resting. I can just imagine, like, you see this at, your locals or whatever, your opponent rests it, and you're like, oh, you started battle phase. You're like, no, I'm using his effects to pull something out. Because when a Vanguard rests, that's almost like 99.9% of the time, it means they're attacking.
Yeah. Yeah. No, like, this one is probably the first time where, like, Bushiroad has revealed a card, and my reaction has been, like, nothing. Like, I saw it, I'm like, oh boy, another, like, 4 attack deck that everyone will probably forget about by the time the set is done revealing.
I know. The fact that they keep adding more and more of these ride lines, they've become so hard to keep track of. And whenever there's, like, new support, like, your thing comes 3 sets later or whatever for your original ride line that got left in the dust, and then you're like, oh, yeah, that existed. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Did you know the set has Flagberg support?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Is this 2022? What's going on? Like, all right.
To your point, they'll just, like, make new ride lines, and, like, we'll probably just forget about it. Like, I don't know that this is going to be particularly relevant. It seems fine. Like, you can ride up without discarding, so probably you don't have to play any of the cycle cards, which opens up like different space in your deck.
I kind of like the idea
with.
of riding for free rather than the like plussing off of the discard for ride line, because nothing feels worse than having to discard for ride line, but you have a thing that you want to call, but it has to be the thing you discard. You know, whatever. I'm spending too much time harping on this. I'm very medium to medium minus about this. Yep. Anywho.
Okay, next up we have Drag Rider Durgam. Yeah. So when it's placed on Rearguard Circle, if you have a Grade 3 or Grade Vanguard with Eugene or Gondiva in its name, oh no, we've now reached Granfia levels of stapling your support to a more relevant card.
Yeah.
Soul Blast 1, Energy Blast 3. Choose an opponent's Rearguard, retire it. If you did not retire a Rearguard, draw a card, and this unit gets, once per turn at the end of battle, your Vanguard attack, choose one of your front row Rearguards and stand it until end of turn. And if you play a normal order this turn, it gets boost.
Holy crap. So this gives Eugene an extra
attack. Like a conditional extra attack.
Around that's how much they
retire it. No, but also, like, you have to not retire something, which either means your opponent cleared their board for you, or it's assuming that you already cleared the board with the Vanguard ability.
Yeah, now granted, Eugene has so many things that just retire willy-nilly that I don't think that's much of a problem. But it's like, you had to go through that. Eugene is so hard up for anything good.
Yeah,
that, like,
they gave Eugene a card that lets him restand when the opponent doesn't have a field. And the deck still isn't doing anything.
Yep, and like the crux of I made Eugene in premium with Kagero. That's incredibly terrible, but it's one of those things where you build it for $8 and then put it in a closet until something good comes out. Now, if this wasn't tied to Energy Blast, maybe we could be getting somewhere in premium, but that's not going to be happening. So that sucks. And for Gandiva, this just who cares, right?
Probably, I don't know.
Gandiva seemed like it was doing fine. Like,
yeah,
for what it was. I mean, hooray for more support, but I don't think it changes.
I forgot what was the hit. They made a hit to Gandiva, and I can't remember what it was now.
Who knows? Who cares?
I think it was the Grade 3.
Yeah. I guess this kind of tries to replace. I don't know. It seems like it's more important in Eugene, and in Eugene, it's not nearly enough.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Battle Monk of Raging Flames, Rokusei. So, when it's placed on Rearguard Circle, if you have a Grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Varga in its name, your opponent can't intercept.
Cool.
And then, when any player's unit is retired from a front row Rearguard Circle in the same column as this unit, you can retire it and draw a card.
All right. I mean, sure.
This is fine.
Yeah.
It just means that your opponent doesn't get any value out of their front row that's going to die anyways.
This always bothered me, where they would be like, okay, you can't intercept, but also I'm a deck that retires.
Well, yeah, but that's the point, right? Like, Varga retires in the battle phase, so they can just intercept away before you attack with it.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. I've just seen that be a trend before, where they're like, all right, you no intercepting for you. We're like, well, you blew up my stuff anyway. What do I care?
But yeah, in this case, it's just like preventing your opponent from getting value about units you were going to kill off anyway.
This did not deserve to be a triple R. Good lord. This is like a rare or a double R at best, I think.
I mean, the card's fine.
It is fine. I'm saying that it doesn't deserve to be a triple R. This is like too much like value being placed on something so okay.
Nah. Like, I think stopping your opponent from intercepting is good in the way that, like, Varga is set up.
Never mind. All right. We have already done an episode on this guy, but the more I see come out about him, the more excited I get. Faded 1 of 0, Blankmire, Quagmire, whatever you want to call him. So Grade 3 for Dark States, auto on Van. When it attacks Vanguard, bind 2 or more up to 4 from your soul face down. and you can draw a card. If you bound 4 or more cards, your opponent chooses 2 of their rear guards and binds them face down. And this unit gets plus 5k for until end of battle for every 2 units face down in your bind zone. Your bind zone, not total. And then it's got a divine skill. So once again, this can be used once per game. Auto unvan at the beginning of the guard step that this of the battle that this unit attacked. If your bind zone has 8 or more face down cards, you may have this unit get +1 crit until end of turn. If you do, your opponent cannot call or play sentinels, meaning no sanctitude for you. From hand until end of turn, choose one of your opponent's vanguards, and until the end of your opponent's next turn, all of your opponents and that unit's abilities are nullified. Persona Ride does still activate, though.
Yes. I find it funny, like, how many ruling issues come up from its deleting ability.
Yeah. This is going to be real confusing.
Yeah.
We talked about this guy for like 45 minutes. It's from, I think, 2 weeks ago, if you want to go check out that episode. But I don't know what else can be said about the guy. It seems like very DarkIrregulars-ish, and the support around him is quite good, as we will see.
Yeah. Which is funny because I think like that still ultimately comes out to a package for a deck that's like only okay.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. DarkIrregular is like, even when it's good, there's still like this air of inconsistency to it because of the random soul charging.
Well, this deck's like the soul charging isn't as random. It's just that like your early game is kind of bad, and even if you like try to make the early game better, you just end up with like bad hand sizes.
Yeah, so like they're decks with bad early games like that. That's just kind of decks have weaknesses.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that this is like the second coming of Blade Wings or anything, but it's interesting to me, and I think it's cool. And I assume it'll at least be like a road pick,
Yeah, it should be like decently strong. Like it has ways to like so things it has in its favor, like the bind 2 gives you like lets you punish early game. So if your opponent rushes you, you can just like get rid of it. And then like we'll see with the support, it does have like a decent amount of like early draw power. Like I think it starts to fizzle out later in the game as you start using up your resources.
Yeah, the kicker with divine skills is that like you got to know if this is the right time too. And if you don't, then tough tuckus, man. Better hope you can either figure it out or die. And I think that we didn't really bring this up in the initial episode, but like I think it's forces the player it adds some depth to the gameplay of Vanguard. Now, if they had implemented this earlier and built around it, that'd be a little more interesting. But you can only do so much. It kind of reminds me of Z moves from Pokemon, I think. So yeah. We then have Steam Raider Zamud, sorry, 2 years, Zamud, 10k grade 2.
Yep.
When placed on rare, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Blangmire and its card name, you can counterblast 1. Reveal top 3 cards of your deck, put any number of cards into your soul from among them, and shuffle. If you put 1 or more cards in the soul, draw a card. So already good, like, constant, like, ability to get draw power off of that and build up your soul. The other effect is auto on rear when it attacks. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Blangmire and this unit's critical is 1 or less, I think that's an interesting way to do it. Energy Blast 3, and this gets plus 5k and a crit until end of that battle.
Yep. So this card like helps you with your soul charging. It is pretty selective because you can choose how many of the cards you put, and you get, as long as you soul charge something, you get to draw a card. So like all around, just a solid first ability. And then the second one is just pressure, right?
Yeah.
Although I will say like 5k isn't that much.
No, it's not.
Like compared to something like Prison Dragon, this is much more guardable.
Yeah, this seems to be more for the, like, you can start doing this from turn 3 onward. So it's you can kind of keep the train going with it. This seems like one of those things where you either hoard them where you're like, all right, I have the one on the field, I have the other in my hand in case it gets retired, or I have to intercept with it, and then you play the next one next turn. But yeah, good piece of support. Then you have Star Slave Demonic Lady Bifrons, who's a AK grade 1. So when placed on rare from hand, counterblast 1, check top 3, choose a card from among them, put it into your hand, choose a card from among them, put it into your soul, and discard the rest. So 1 in hand, 1 in soul, dump the last. And then act on rare. If you have a Vanguard with El Magistar, great, this is your territory, and its card name. Soul Blast 1, Energy Blast 3. Search your deck for up to 1 card with Estrella and its card name, or up to 1 critical. Put it into your soul and shuffle your deck. If you put a card into your soul, choose up to 1 card with a different card name from this unit and grade less than or equal to your Vanguard from drop, and you may call it to rear. That was a lot of conditions.
Yeah. This card is interesting. So the first effect is generic, so it can just search top 3 for anything. And then the second one, I feel like it's meant to set up the mask version, right? So obviously, like, filtering out a critical into your soul is pretty strong. And I think it works on any of the ride line because they're all Almagestars.
Yeah, it just says Vanguard with it doesn't care about like grade 3 with Almagistar or whatever.
Yeah, so this like works early, like, and it costs a Soul Blast, which is pretty easier to come by, especially like early game when your opponent might damage deny you. So this is something that you can use to like start setting up the deck, either by getting like an early critical into your soul, or like late game if you're playing the mask version, like putting an Estrella into your soul so you can remove it for the triple drive.
Right.
Or the removal effect was a triple drive, right?
Can't remember, but normally with the mask ability, it's like remove the non-mask thing to get your whatever's.
Yeah, so it was drive +1 for the removal effect. So this,
okay.
So like early game, it can help get you a critical, so you can start setting up your bind zone, and late game, it can get you an Estrella name to remove for the triple drive. So yeah, like this is a really like solid piece of support. And it's nice that they made like a powerful generic. It's nice that they made like an Almagestar card that's like good for the deck, but that's also like generically good overall.
Yeah, and then in that second case, you also get a call from Drop Zone on top of that, which is cool.
So you can just like call back the thing you soul blasted, right?
Of course, that's usually how it is with like Grand Blue and stuff like that. So yeah makes sense.
And again, like if you're using this early, it's a way for you to just like rush, because you could just like soul blast a grade 1 or grade 0, just throw it out there, and then you don't care that much if it dies.
Exactly. So good piece of support, good generic card, neat art.
Yeah, like this is the full package.
This feels more like a triple R than the other one did for Dragon Empire. Anyway, your turn.
Okay, Granzel Rotovisor. So this is a grade 3. It is a new ride line. So during your turn, if you have 3 or more arenas, all of your front row unit get power plus 5,000. And then at the end of the battle, this unit attacks, you counterblast 2. Oh boy, it really is a Nova Grappler card, isn't it?
I know, right? Oh my god, yeah.
Choose the same number of your rear guards as the number of arenas in your order zone and stand them. If you chose 3 or more, all of them get 5k until end of turn.
Well, there you go, Nova Grappler fans. There's your...
This is the most Nova Grappler card to Nova Grapple, right down to having unnecessarily high counter blast cost.
Yeah. Now, in Nova Grappler's defense... this is for the non-Vanguard boomers in the audience. Way back in the day, Nova Grappler had cards that just let you countercharge for like anything, or it was like on play countercharge 1.
Yeah. Speaking of cards that will let you countercharge for anything, the Arena Order has the ability. Is a grade 2 order, which means you are not going to be fully live for this deck until turn 4, because Bushiroad really likes doing that for some reason.
Yeah.
Anyways, if you have a Vanguard with Rotovisor and another arena did not rest during that battle, you can rest this card. Choose one of the attacking units, and it gets an auto Vanguard Rearguard Circle. When the attack hits, countercharge 1 or energy charge 2.
Okay.
So there's your counter charge.
But it's tied to an on-hit. Oh,
Yeah, but
I
you're
know
gonna
it's
be
Nova Grappler and everything and more battles and stuff. Fine.
yeah,
But
you're
like,
gonna be attacking like 5 times.
I know, but it still feels kind of chunky. Like, having your ability to do stuff
Also,
tied
just play
to
Mobile Mine.
that too. Having your ability to do stuff like resting on hit abilities, A, takes me back, and B, was not a fun time in the game's history. Just saying. Anywho, Prison got something new. That's cool.
Aurora Battle Princess Corner Citrus. So when it's placed on Rearguard Circle, your opponent chooses a card from their drop zone and imprisons it. If they imprison the card, you can Energy Blast 3 to draw. And then when you're grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Seraph in its name attack, if 3 or more of your opponent's cards are imprisoned, it gets 10k. If there are 5 or more, Counterblast 1 and stand it. Oh boy.
That's what I wanted. So good. Holy shit.
That's really what I wanted to see is Prison getting a rear guard that's like 20k crit that restands.
I know. That is so. Oh my god, so much vomit.
5k for every 2. No, it's 30k with a crit and restands.
Yep.
Wait, no. Every 2 cards times 5. 25. Nope, 35 with a crit and restands.
You're not making this better.
No, I was incapable of figuring out what 5 times 5 was for a long time, okay?
I had a weird time, like, random aside. I had a weird time when I was a kid with like the multiplication tables. 8 times 5 would always fuck me up, and I don't know why. Like, it's 40, but just I don't know why it took so long for it to stick in my brain. 8, 16, 24, 32.
Also, remember, this is probably going to be sitting alongside like some sort of guard restrict, right?
Oh, of course, yeah. No, Prison. I don't know what happened to it. It seemed like it just sort of dropped off the face of the earth after a while.
I mean, the deck is still good. Like, they got security upgrader that lets you like ride the grade 4 early.
Yeah, I think any grade 4 deck is starting to get that version of the thing, so you can just do that turn 3.
Yeah. Well, you have you have to not ride that turn, so it does not get it to you like earlier. It gets it to you consistently.
Ah, okay, never mind. Because for Magnolia, hers is like Counterblast, put it in Soul, just ride it from hand. Yeah. So you can do that turn 3. I think the opponent has to be a grade 3.
Yeah, so security upgrader specifies if you did not ride this turn.
Gotcha.
Because I do think Pure Light is probably the strongest grade 4, just like standalone.
Yes, agree.
And like when they get to the Pure Light turn, they will just have 10 cards imprisoned.
Yeah, they'll have 10 cards imprisoned and they'll just fucking kill you. Yes. When playing against Prison, the quote-unquote strategy that I have is just not Counterblast and not call from hand, and just call from Prison. Counterblast to call 2 things from Prison.
Unfortunately, Pure Light by herself is just like 6 cards imprisoned.
Oh, yeah. No, so like there's only so much you can do, but just like that's the best advice I can give. So I like the art on this guy. Very Link Joker-esque. Early Link Joker.
White Flash Scythe. Baldrorid. So during the battle that boosted, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, any Vanguard, and your order zone has 2 or more set orders, it gets 5k. At the end of the battle it boosted, if your order zone has a set order, put it to Soul, look at top 5, search for 1 grade 2 or greater unit card, or a set order, reveal it, put it into your hand, shuffle the deck. I mean, yeah, it's a generic card. It's like good.
Yeah. Brandgate once again has the like
Brandgate just has like
design of the set order thing. So being able to build around that has been good for them.
Really strong generic cards like Bulbul Mine, what that one card from set 6, I forgot. Combine Rusher.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this is also another good one. It's just a way to like filter your deck. It also gives you a bit of soul if you're playing a soul heavy deck. It's a 13k booster.
Right.
Drink for saying plus 5k. Yeah. Like this is a perfectly competent generic triple R.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure at some point there's going to be a deck that takes advantage of this, and this will randomly cost $30.
Yeah, this seems like one of those things where like it comes out, you pick up your 4 and just sit on it for like either whatever deck you happen to build, or in case something like that happens. It's like the cats. The cats have that same vibe to them.
Well, the cat, you typically only need like 1 or 2 at least.
Well, that's the most you can play legally, in terms of like paying the cost.
Well, that's the most number you can resolve. Technically, you could play 4.
That's true. Okay, sorry, I misworded that. You're right. The most you can resolve. I run 3 individuals because I just need to see it that hard. Like I want the counter charge that much. All right, so moving on to Keter, we have Faded One of Time Liel equals Amorta, which is a grade 3.
Yep.
Auto on Wait, go ahead, sorry.
No, I wasn't going to say anything.
Okay, when this unit attacks from Vanguard, Counterblast 1, choose one of your rear guards, bind it. Search your deck for up to 1 card with the same name as that card, call it to rear and shuffle. And then auto, when this unit is put on guard circle, discard a card from your hand and put 2 cards from the bind zone on the bottom of your deck in any order. Choose up to 1 of your units with Faded One in its card name, and it cannot be hit until end of battle. That's very interesting. And then the divine skill is auto on Van at the end of battle that this unit attacked. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, choose a card with the same card name as this unit from your drop, and you may ride it as stand if you rode drive -1.
Cool.
Meaning Persona Ride, yay.
You do not Persona Ride, because it's not during the ride phase.
Oh, I forgot. Fuck, I forgot. I
also, Persona Ride has to be a normal ride.
Why did I forget it was normal ride? I don't know. Anyway, that's very interesting to have your like main Vanguard for this ride line be have a guard circle effect. It's very cool.
I mean, this is like peak anime card design. You know that they made this specifically to like what was it? I've already forgotten the main character's name.
Who cares?
Yeah, Akina. But you know this is designed specifically for him to like throw down against Blankmeyer's divine skill so that he can use a perfect guard without perfect guarding.
Oh, definitely. Weren't you the one that put out the tweet where it's like, this looks like it was what's his face? Hetero round to fuck. Kill me. Big gears, 12 cards in a row.
Demiurge.
Yeah.
What I said was this is the same kind of card. This reminds me of like specifically hetero round being designed to counter Demiurge by shuffling the deck. Like there have been a decent number of cards specifically designed to counter like the final boss unit. It just so happens that this is a defensive design in the same way that hetero round was.
Yes.
Because they also had shit like I think someone commented on that tweet, like that version of Alfred that randomly unlocks your field.
Yes, where it puts all your lock cards back on top of deck and then calls them again.
Yeah, specifically to counter Glendios. You can kind of see like Heritage giving you another turn as a way of like skipping Gize's burn damage. So yeah, like they've always had like this really weird, like specifically made to counter the opponent's boss card design. That's very amusing.
Well, longtime listeners of Nexus at Night know that we're a fan of defensive card design. So even if this is used specifically against my favorite unit in the set, I don't give a shit. Like, I think this is cool.
Funny thing about this does not counter Dragstrider.
Oh, you're right. It does. That's so funny.
Dragstrider specifically has a glory skill, which is not countered by this.
Yep, because this continues to be a grade 3. That's so fucking funny. Good lord. Yeah, like you can tell they made the defensive skill first, and they're like, well, we gotta have it do something on your turn. I don't know, just have it bind a rear guard and call the same name. I don't give a shit. Like
lore wise, this is apparently like also like a Gear Chronicle thing, which is why it plays like Gear Chronicle.
Right. That makes sense.
But yeah, I do find it amusing that the second ability is specifically designed against Blankmeyer, because also the part where you put back 2 bound cards, like Blankmeyer binds 2 with his first ability, so you can just use that even if you're not playing this deck.
That is so funny. She kind of reminds me, like, the aesthetic is very Angel Feather, and especially their finisher, where it's like, all right, I die at 8 damage or whatever because of the purple hair. But the
unfortunately does not manipulate the damage zone.
No, the play style is, Paladin, like most Keter Sanctuary stuff is. But...
Well, it's like Gear Chronicle in the way that it uses the bind zone.
But I more mean the, like, okay, just call this thing from deck, like.
Yeah. Anyways, the card seems like fine.
Yeah, I think it's a neat thing. I don't know how far it's gonna go though.
The Divine Skill turn, it gets you like 6 attacks because it also resets the on attack ability.
Oh, that's cool. All right, yeah, that's not terrible. You got Knight of Bowstreaks, Nilberis, which is a grade 2. When placed on rear by your grade 3 or greater Vanguard's ability. Like what, sir? This unit gets plus 10k till end of turn, and then auto on rear at the end of the battle that this unit attacked. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Rosier in its card name, Energy Blast 3 and put this unit into your soul. Draw a card, look at the top card of your deck, and put it on top or bottom.
Randomly an OTT card.
Yep. And randomly, even though we were just thinking, oh, it could be used with the card we were just looking at. Instead, it's for Rosier, technically, if you're going to use it to its full potential.
Yeah. You probably won't play this in Leo.
Probably not.
I think you have better options.
Weirdly enough, I could see this being played in like premium gold paladin too, where it's like, oh, this is just a 20k beater now based off of whatever.
You must have better options for that.
I don't know. I'll ask Richard. We'll see we'll see how that shakes out. Then there's a Sword Saint of Itinerant, Idrius, another grade 2, and continuous on rear during your turn. If your bind zone has a card with the same name as this unit gets power plus 10k. Okay, now that seems more like the other thing. And then when this unit is bound from rear during your turn, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Liel in his card name, Soul Blast, draw a card, choose one of your Vanguards, it gets plus 5k. So yeah, that's a lot more in character for that. Good card though.
Yeah. Like it gets you a draw, it goes into the bind zone, and then it's like a 20k beater on the second attack.
Yeah, and then on the next time after that, it's just 20k from the get-go because it's continuous. Good stuff. All right, yet another Zorga form. So this is what, 4 now, I think.
Zorga, Grave Zorga, Mask Zorga. Yep, this is the 4th one.
4th one. Okay, so Fated One of Taboo, Zorga Nadir, who's grade 3 for Stoichia, 13k power. Continuous on Van. When you would play a normal order, you can choose a normal order with Alchemy Magic. It's Alchemy Magic. All right?
Except this time it's from your bind zone instead of your drop zone.
Good point. Yeah, so then act on Van, Energy Blast 2, bind a normal order from your drop. So that's why this is a thing. Choose up to 2 cards from your drop, call them to rear, and they get plus 5k until end of turn for each normal order with a different card name in your bind zone. At the end of the turn, retire those units. And then Divine Skill, when this unit attacks a grade 3 or greater unit, Soul Blast 1, choose a column, stand all of your rear guards in that column, and at the end of the turn, retire those units. So
I can't wait for like the 100k crit 2 restanding column.
I'm so not looking forward to that, good lord.
Yeah, because like if you're gonna out magic, like you're probably gonna have like a decent number of different names in your bind zone by the time you're going for the divine skill. And then a bunch of your orders also give power for no reason.
Yeah, or power or whatever. There are so many orders in Stoichia, you guys. You have no idea.
Yeah.
You have an idea,
then,
actually.
Like, the cards that gain crits also gain power.
Yes. And I like that they locked a restand behind the divine skill that seems very in character for Zorga, where they're like, you can have a 4th attack, but it's
They already had a fourth attack with the mask version. I don't think the deck needed it that badly.
I know, but it's
so many things with crits.
It's funny that they're like, okay, you can have your extra attack, but
once per game.
Divine Skill, once per game. Yeah, seems good. I don't really have any complaints. I remember when Zorga first came out and we like made fun of it, and then that's just become our thing.
I will continue to be a comical Zorga hater.
I don't know. Anytime I played against it, like a loss doesn't feel cheap. I feel like this would make it feel cheap if you have 100k restanding thing with a crit.
I don't know how consistent that is. It's just something I saw being thrown around at some point.
Still,
but
funny,
it does seem very possible.
Yeah, that's true. Then you have Abomination of Impending Karma, which was my nickname in high school. Say grade 2 at 10k. Auto, when placed on rear, you can Energy Blast 4 and bind a normal order from your drop, and this unit gets plus 5k until end of turn for each normal order with a different card name in your bind zone. So great, that stacks with Zorga. Fun. And then in drop zone at the beginning of your battle phase, if you have a Vanguard with Zorga in its card name and a divine skill, and you did Alchemagic this turn, you may call this card to rear. If you call this card and your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this gets +1 crit till end of turn.
I think you'd probably rather have Prison Dragon, but like this is just another one, right?
Yeah.
Like this is just another thing that gains a crit and gets huge.
It's kind of like what Shadow Cloak did, where like Shadow Cloak wasn't super impactful on its own, but the fact that it sped up the engine, you're like, oh, cool. This is
Shadow Cloak is probably one of their best cards because it lets them like search anything and then they just bounce to their hand.
Yeah, but like on paper, it's just it's a cog in the machine. So yeah, good card, good jokes. Battle Siren, Aletheria, grade 1, 8k. So I'm assuming this is going to be Aquaforce related. When placed on rear from hand, Energy Charge 2. That's completely generic. That's nice. And then auto on rear at the beginning of your battle phase if you have a grade 3 or greater Tier Dragon Vanguard, and there it is. Soul Blast 1. Choose one of your units and it gets red text. Auto on Vanguard rear. When this unit attacks, it gets plus 5k till end of turn until end of turn.
Okay.
Did that like stand for you at all? Or
I mean it's what like the Aquaforce style decks probably did need something that gave their units power. And like obviously you just slap this ability on a restander and it'll be a plus 10k by the second time.
Exactly.
Like it's fine.
Yeah. This seems like a 2 of in whichever deck you happen to be playing it in. Like a Flagbird could probably make pretty good use of this, I think.
This was definitely one of the why is this a triple R cards?
Yes, definitely. That's a rare, seems like, but whatever. Fine. All right, time for Pink Girls.
Okay.
Hit me.
Flamie G Rosier. Sure. I'm not going to comment on the way the name is spelled. Search your Soul Blast 1, search your deck or soul for one grade 2 or less card with name, and then call it. If you search the deck, shuffle the deck. At the end of the battle, if you attack, if you have 3 or more units with name, Counterblast 1, choose Beauclair, which is the grade 0, by the way, from your soul, write it a stand. It loses all of its auto abilities because we don't want to get into this weird position where if you went second, you keep drawing cards.
Right.
And gets power plus 2,000 for each card in total among you and your opponent's damage zone. At the end of the turn, choose a copy of this from your soul or drop zone and write it at rest.
I keep wanting to just call this Flag Me. I don't know why. Just like go full dyslexia.
Turn a Gundam.
Yeah. I don't know, dude.
It seems medium.
Yes. And I expect, like, this is coming from somebody with a huge blind spot for this particular nation. So
I'm not the most inspired by it. Like, it has this really weird like play style where like you have to like have them on board and then they retire themselves, and then you have a bunch of support cards that like recycle them back into the deck.
Yeah.
So it's just like this really weird cycle where you always have to have like 3 of them on the field. So you're probably just calling all of them. And then they like retire themselves, and then the support cards like put them back and do things, and it's like it's fine. Like, it maintains a moderate resource loop. It gets like okay power. But you can't really play any of the like good generic lyrical cards because because all of the named units retire themselves, and you need them to do that to use all of the other cards that have to put them back.
Right.
So like it's fine probably, but it, like the other 2 new ride lines, it's like, yes, this exists.
I just like that she's doing the metal horns. Rock on, girl, rock on.
I like the aesthetic. Like the aesthetic kind of made me think this would be some sort of like removal based deck.
Right.
And to the deck's credit, like the grade 2 in the ride line does have a retire ability, but I thought it would play more heavily into that, But like instead it's just like this really weird restanding Vanguard style of deck where you're like riding the grade 0 for some reason.
Oh my god. I remember this getting revealed in the Nexus at Night Discord, patreon.com/Nexus at Night. And us just being like, why? I don't understand. This I remember you having a little bit more praise for.
Yeah. So Loving Pink Franket. So when it's chosen by the effect of your grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Chris Rain in this name, you choose one of your Vanguards and it gets 10k. So Chris Rain, one of the 3 things that she can do with her act ability is give a unit 15k. So what you would do is you would give this 15k and then it gives 10k back to the Vanguard. So you're not like losing out on that power. And then on attack, if you have 3 or more units with different names, which is easy, it gets 5k. If you have 4 or more with different names, at the end of the battle, choose one of your other rear guards and return it to hand.
Very Bermuda-esque. You have like a video and a thread talking about Chris Rain, right?
Yes. This card does a lot for Chris Rain. I feel like people read this and they just kind of dismiss it because they don't play lyrical, which understandable. But like for Chris Rain itself, it lets you like maintain large numbers, so your opponent is kind of like forced to keep PGing you if the guard restrict wasn't enough. And then like the big thing though is the second one. Although like because you're going to be choosing it with Chris Rain's plus 15k, this is like a 30k beater on its own with the second ability. And then the big thing is like choosing one of your other rear guards means like you now have the ability to like early game the shit out of your opponent without getting punished for it. Because you already had Yuika in Lyrical, which just you could Soul Blast 1, bounce something in the same column. I think it was like at the end of the battle it boosted, you just bounce the boosted unit. So it's like you call this with Yuika and like any other thing to the front row. This bounces your other column, and then Yuika bounces this, so your front row is empty and your opponent can't damage deny you.
Pretty funny. That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, like I do see this potentially having use outside of Chris Rain as well. Like not being able to use the first ability, like but the fact that you can still just have a 15k beater that early games and can't be punished is really strong.
Yeah.
Especially because it also means having a if you combine it with Yuika, having a 23k column turn 2.
Okay. Yeah.
So yes, I think this card is extremely powerful, and I think like people kind of underestimate it. Like I don't think it fixes all of Chris Rain's problem, but it does a lot.
Do you see this? Look at this. This is the face of death.
Kind of. Like if you have a booster, this like 38, which is a pretty good number, it hits over like a front trigger or the effect front.
It's coming for you.
Like a lot of the grade 3 or a lot of the grade 1s that I'm opting to play in Chris Rain also gain 5k, so this is just like a 43k column. So it's demanding like 2-3 cards out of your opponent if they want to guard it.
What we're saying is does this look like the face of mercy? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay.
This name.
Today's selfie, Freitas. So if you have a Vanguard with Kyoka in its card name, when you search or choose a magazine card from your deck, you can choose this instead. And then at the end of your turn, you can retire it if it's in the back row circle. Choose a Kyoka in its card name or a magazine card from your drop zone, put it into your hand. So it either gets you the magazine order back, so you can kind of keep up your cycle with the magazine, which I don't quite remember what they do. I don't play Kyoka that much, even though I do have all of the cards.
Mm-hmm.
Or it just gets you a Persona ride, which is always helpful.
This looks like it was designed in like 2014. Just the name, like, do you remember when like the kids are taking selfies?
Yeah.
You don't really see that complaint so much anymore. I remember selfie sticks coming out and there being like a little moral panic about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Just cracks me up. So those are all the triple R's, which means on to the double R's. And I see a dust storm, which means it's probably Eugene related.
Cannon Bullet of Dust Storm Xerxes. I wanted to make a joke about System Shock, but then I can't think of one. So at the grade 3, 13k, at the beginning of your battle phase, you counterblast one, choose one of your units with Gry or Andra in its card name, and it gets 10k. If you chose a card, draw. And then when a Gry or Andra attacks, if your opponent Vanguard's grade 3 Irrigator, this gets 5k. Sure.
Was not a Eugene card, and I was very surprised.
Yeah, so this boosts up your Andra to 30k because it's 15 on its own. The grade 1 gives it another 10, so 5 from this would be 30, which is good numbers. And then this becomes 18k, and then your Vanguard gives 10k to the front row, so it becomes 28.
Yeah, which is that sweet. You need 2 cards to guard on a normal normal attack.
So yeah, this card seems fine. It does the thing. It gives you good numbers and then also draws you a card, which is like everything you probably want in a support unit.
Yeah, definitely. Good stuff. Whoops. Didn't mean to do that. Okay. Sorry. Continue.
Okay. Stealth Dragon Enmo. When it's placed on Rearguard Circle, Energy Blast 3, choose the same number of your opponent's rearguards as the number of set orders in their order zone and retire them. And then when it attacks, if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater and your opponent has no rear guards, it gets power plus 10k.
I've never seen something that's so anti a particular nation before.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's funny because people call this like a Wellster counter, but that assumes Wellster has any rear guards by the end of their turn.
Yeah, for real.
Have you ever played against Wellster that much at your locals? Because I have a dedicated Wellster player at mine.
Yeah, there's actually a dedicated Wellster player at mine, too. Is it a guy with glasses?
Yeah, I think he does wear glasses sometimes.
Motherfucker, it's the same guy. No,
is he Asian?
It's the same type. No, it's a white guy. But that's funny that it's like you have like the archetype of this is my pet's deck. I am the Wellstra player, and it's one guy always.
Yeah, No, we just have like the one Wellstra guy at our locals.
Them's the breaks, I guess. But yeah, you were saying it's somebody said it was a Wellstra counter-ish, but
it's not.
No.
It doesn't they've never played against Wellstra, but anyways, this feels like a card that should exist for like a Vanguard side deck if we had one.
Yes, definitely.
Or it's just like, oh, you play set orders in your deck, let me just side this in for game 2.
Yeah, or just like this also seems like when your deck has space but you don't know what to put there, so you're like, I don't know, free 20k attacker most of the time, maybe.
Yeah, so
fine.
This is one of those like, yep, this exists.
This should have been a common. Seriously, like
probably
that does not earn its stripes, I don't think.
Continuing on, we have Dancing Princess of Beautiful Flames Justina. So when this is placed on Rearguard Circle from your hand, if you didn't play an order this turn, discard a card, search your deck for up to 1 order card without Regalis piece, discard it, and this card can be played from drop zone, and when it be played from the drop zone, put it on the bottom of your deck instead. Okay. This is like a lot of hoops to go through, and then you're also like discarding a card on top of that.
I'm like rereading it because it's like, hang on.
So you
I mean,
discard a card from your hand, then you
yeah,
discard an order from your deck that's not a Regardless piece, and then
piece.
you can play that order from the drop zone. And if you play it from the drop zone, you put it onto the bottom of your deck instead of like removing it from the game or whatever.
Okay, the fact that they put the Regardless piece in there was probably a good idea. The anti-Regardless piece was probably a good idea, but I think that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Where they're like, okay, Dragon Empire players, we want you to play more orders. This is how you do it. But do they have orders that are worth playing outside of like Best Harvest?
Probably not. And I feel like the decks that do rely on orders already had tools to find the orders.
Yeah. Ironically, this ended up being like the best Eugene card for it. All right, good job, guys.
Okay, Piercing Equipped Dragon, Argneus. So once placed on Rigor Circle or discard from your hand, if you have a grade 3 or greater Nirvana, Energy Blast 3, choose a card with the crossover ability from your drop zone, put it into your hand. That's very good. When it becomes an original dress, Soul Blast 1, Countercharge 1. Hey, countercharging.
Oh, that's pretty dope. And it's a Prayer Dragon. Good stuff.
Yeah. No, this card seems like really good. Like randomly just really good support for Nirvana. Like it gets you back a crossover dress, which is probably like one of the bigger things for the Nirvana deck. Is just like if you lose your crossover units, you do have to work a bit to get them back. Yeah. Like you have things like the Shield Viina.
Right.
But like more ways to recycle the crossover dresses is never a bad thing.
Definitely. And then like
and also like the way Jiva specifically works, like you discard this, call it back, and then you also get back a crossover unit. Like that's really good.
Oh yeah, no, this was, I think, something the deck needed to be more than just like the guy who like still hanging on to it for dear life. Like,
yeah, I mean the deck is fine.
Yeah, but like it fell off popularity wise. I think.
I think it's still relevant for the current meta.
Yeah. But and again, I think this like because the thing with the shield guy is that when someone puts it up, it immediately has a giant target on its back, or it's like I have to kill that thing because that's
it has resist.
Kill like run it over, not
yeah. I mean the shield guy isn't even that important. It's like the grade 3 that's important, the one that restands your board.
Yeah, that usually shows up right when it's time to though. It's not really something that sticks around.
No, like I don't see a reason to specifically target the Shield Viina. All it is a 15k and a 10k intercept.
Usually ends up being a thing where it's just there, and then they can capitalize on it. I don't know. It tends to work out for me if I kill it pretty quickly, but that's me anyway. Good job, Direful Doll Shelby. Grade 2, 10k. When it attacks a grade 3 or greater unit, you can put a unit with Direful Doll in its card name from your drop zone into your soul. It gets plus 5k for each grade of the card put into your soul for the cost. At the end of the battle, bind this unit, so I know who is supposed to be with. Yeah. And then auto on rear, when it hits a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, retire something.
Sure.
Good.
This seems fine.
Yeah, pretty solid. Keeps the guy moving. That's good.
Yeah. I don't really have much to say beyond that.
Me neither. Like some cards in sets are just like, this is good, and there's not really much else to say, and that's fine. That's life. Hardening Insight, speaking of Hardening Insight, is grade 2, 10k. When placed on rear, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with
Borrow Magnus.
With Borrow Magnus. Okay. In its card name, Energy Blast 2. Choose up to 2 normal units from your drop and put them on bottom of deck in any order, and Soul Charge 2. No deck recovery for you. Only the same amount of deck. And then continue on rear during your turn. If your soul has 15 or more cards, or you Soul Charge 3 or more cards in total this turn, it gets plus 15k.
Sure.
Not bad. I'm not really sure who's playing Barrow Magnus as a standard deck in the year of our Lord 2024, but go off King, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this card seems fine. It like does all of the things that Burrow Magnus probably wants. It's
Yeah.
big. It's like 2/3 of the way to its own power gain ability.
Yeah. I think what Barrow Magnus wants is to be used with no Life King Death Anchor in premium, like you should. Avarice Rester is a 8k grade 1 when placed on rare. What?
So it's the same as the other grade 1 for Dragon Empire.
Yeah. So this is the thing for the set, right? Placed on rare.
Seems
didn't
like
play
it.
an order, discard an order. You get the point.
Mm-hmm.
I find it interesting that they didn't try to differentiate it the way they did with like other, theme cards like that, like the cats or whomever. They're just like, fuck it, 1-to-1, everybody, all the time, all at once.
Yeah.
So, okay. I think that'll probably have more use than it does in Dragon Empire, though.
We'll see.
Evoke Alchemist, the 8k grade 1. So during the battle that this unit boosted, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Blindmire in his card name, gives plus 5k. Nice. And then auto on rear, when this boosts a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Blindmire, this gets plus 2k until end of that battle. If your bind zone has 4 or more face down cards, Counterblast 1, choose one of your front row rear guards, stand it, and if your bind zone has 8 or more face down cards, that unit gets plus 15k until end of turn. Cool.
Yep.
Very good. Very good card.
4th attack for Blindmire. It's a 15k booster for boosting the Vanguard specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's good.
Yeah. Yeah. No, nothing bad to say about this one. This was a good choice, I think.
Yep.
On to you.
Okay. Compassionate Mechanic. So during your turn, if your order zone has 2 or more arenas, 5k. At the end of the battle, this unit attacks if your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, and an arena is in your order zone rested during this battle. You Energy Blast 3, draw a card, choose a different unit, and it gets 5k. Sure.
Okay.
Like, once again, this is one of those like boringly competent cards, like a lot of the other ones we've seen, where it's like, okay, it gains power for itself. It gives your other things power, which is important in a deck that restands a bunch. Like, it uses energy instead of counterblast, so it's not like interfering with the high cost of your Vanguard.
Right. I forgot about boringly competent cards. We're gonna do an episode on that if we haven't in a long time.
Yeah. So yeah, like, I think this card is fine. It's obviously for like the Rotovisor deck. So Assembl Dragon, grade 1. When it's placed on Rearguard Circle, Soul Blast 2, perform one of the following. Search your deck for a set order, reveal it, and then if you have an order card with the same name in your order zone, put it to your hand. Choose a set order from your order zone, and then if you have 3 or more cards with the same name, countercharge 1. So potentially another way to countercharge in the Rotovisor deck. You are probably just going to have like a bunch of arenas with the same name. Beyond that, it is like technically generic. I can't think of too many decks that like use the same named orders. Like Eva, sort of, but they already have an order that countercharges for them, so I don't think they need this.
What about the what are the guys? Oh Christ, I forgot the name. I can't remember.
Can you describe what the deck is doing or what it looks like?
They're dudes. They're like guys. The B heroes.
Okay. That is like something. I can't remember how much B heroes sold last though.
I think they do a lot. That might be a problem. So yeah, maybe it's not.
Yeah, like I feel like most likely place is like Rotovisor, because I don't think that deck soul blasts too much right now. And like the deck needs ways to countercharge, but you could also just play like Bulbul Mine, right?
Yeah, Bulbul Mine is so like well designed for what it is.
Yeah, like
what a shame.
Like it does have a bit of flexibility, being able to do like one or the other.
Yeah, that's true. So not a bad card. I think this is just one of those things that gets better or worse depending on whatever it's put in, and that's good. That's fine.
Speaking of B heroes, Galactic B hero Sender Faris. If your order zone has 2 or more bases, it gets 5k, active on both turns. Cool. If you have a Vanguard with B hero in this card name, Energy Blast 3, rest the base. Choose one of your scouted cards with grade less than or equal to your Vanguard. Call it to rearguard circle. I feel like this is doing a thing that the bases already did, doesn't it? Okay, so what Aegis does is like when it's put into the order zone, you scout a card from you scout 3 cards from top 7, put 1 into your hand, and scout up to. Okay, so you choose 3 B heroes, add 1 to hand, scout the other 2. You rest it, discard a card, call it to rearguard circle. Okay, so this is basically a way to do the scouting thing without discarding.
That's pretty cool. Not bad, guys.
Mm-hmm.
So, my wife made me blonde brownies. Sorry, guys. Anyway.
Yeah. This seems okay. I don't know how it fits into like the B hero deck because I don't play it very much.
B hero players, sound off in the comments. I feel like you guys are unsung heroes. No pun intended.
The deck, I think, is competent. It like has 5 attacks now, and like the base gives you like good defensive power.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I've seen like a stand for it though. So
yeah. Well, the guy that plays products at our locals, I think, is also a little bit of a Brantgate guy. I can't remember if he was the one playing P heroes or if there was like someone else who just like has it. I think he was though.
Welstra guy at my locals is Welstra through and through. He's not. He doesn't go anywhere else.
Yeah. Pantera the Slasher.
Very cool.
It's the same generic double R that gets you an order and lets you play it from the drop zone. Moving on.
I know. Mouthful of brownies. Okay. Ghastliness Dragon, which is a grade 2. When your Vanguard is placed during your battle phase, gee, I wonder who that's supposed to be with. Energy Blast 3, countercharge 1, and that unit and this unit get plus 5k till end of turn.
Also works for Liel, but it works for Youthberg too.
Yes.
It probably gets more.
That's what I was getting at.
It probably gets more value in Youthberg because you place during the battle phase constantly versus Liel, which is only the divine skill, which you do once. But yeah, it's a competent double R.
I think it's also meant to be used with Youthberg because like that aesthetic, right? That sort of shadow paladin-y deal with it. All right.
I don't know how badly like Youthberg needs countercharge, but it is something to like spend energy on, I guess.
Sure, yeah. Obligator Dragon, which is, you fucking guessed it, the thing with the orders. I like the art on this one, though.
Yeah.
Cool blue-green. Magic of Stimulants. That's the name? Magic of Stimulants. Also known as our entire college experience. Magic of Stimulants. A grade 1 8K.
Everybody loves caffeine.
Everyone loves caffeine. So continuous on rear during the battle that this boosted. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Liel and its card name gets plus 5k. You're right. That is the magic of stimulants. Auto on rear. When it boosted grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Liel, gets plus 2k till into that battle. Then you can Soul Blast, choose up to 1 card with the same card name as any of the units in your drop and put them on bottom of deck. Choose one of your units, gets plus 5k. So this is the equivalent of what Blankmeyer got, right?
Yeah.
It just makes the deck better. Cool. Just that fucking name too. Magic of Stimulants.
Yeah. Also, like, interesting thing about like Liel for the divine skill is like if you persona ride, you can then like Soul Blast the grade the previous copy that you rode over and then like ride it back with the divine skill. It's just what I imagine you want to be doing.
That's pretty dope. Academic of Endeavoring, if full, is a grade 1. So when placed on rear, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Solarian, oh god, we're back on this. And its card name.
I'm sad they didn't randomly tack Hexa Orb onto it too.
I'm surprised. That seems like a thing they would have done. Counterblast 1, check top 5, choose up to 1 or up to 2 grade 3 or less unit cards from among them, call them to rear and shuffle. If you called 2 cards, choose a card from your hand, reveal it, put it on top if it's a normal unit, and discard if it's not.
That's probably why it's only Solarion. So the whole point of Solarion is like you reveal a normal unit, call it during the battle phase, and then all of your things. Right. What you're supposed to do is like you declare the unit type, reveal the top card of your deck, and if it's correct, which it probably will be because you're stacking the deck, all of your units get 5k.
Mhm.
And then like on attack, you look at the top 2 cards, call one, discard the rest. Call or discard it, put the rest on top or bottom, so it like kind of stacks the deck for you.
Yeah. Not bad. Good card.
Yes.
Veleno's
It also
go.
No, funny thing is like this also isn't restricted to the main phase, so it's another way for Solarion to get like a 5th attack.
That's true. Oh, good point. All right, so Veleno Soldato Grudori. So all of a sudden we're like Italian for whatever reason.
It's the ride line from the last set.
What?
It's the ride line from the last set.
I love the mob implication of that. What?
Mega Colony is the mob.
That's the point. Yeah. Anyway, grade 2, 10k. When placed on rear, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Lysaria in its card name, Soul Blast 2, choose up to one Veleno in its different card name from this unit and grade less than or equal to your Vanguard from your drop, call it to rear. And then continuous on rear during your turn. If you have 3 or more units with Veleno in its card names, gets boost in 5k. Cool.
Not bad.
Not bad. Boringly competent.
Yeah. Importantly, it's another name because that's important for the deck.
Yes, does care about names. More names equals good. Friendly broccoli. All broccoli is friendly, friends. Grade 2, 10k. When placed on rear guard from your hand, if you have a token unit on your rear guard circle, oh god, this is going to be good. Counterblast 1 and draw a card. Off to the races, my friends. That is not bad. And then continuous on rear or guard circle. If you have a token unit on your rear guard circle, gets plus 5k power and 5k shield at all times.
I feel like this. I don't know that like what's his name? Rora has the resources available to use this. I feel like this is probably more beneficial to like Granthea, where you have like the one mega token that's always there.
You can also use this in premium. Any deck that uses token anything. Like the version of Aquaforce that I play uses a lot of plant token generators, so you can just tech this in. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, cool card. And it's cute. We always like our cute plant buddies. Like Heyo Pineapple.
Heyo Pineapple or the Tangerine from a couple sets ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fairy of Nectar Coutier is a grade 1. It's the same fucking thing. All right. I'm not going through this again. Fairy of Bliss True to Lease. It's an 8k grade 1. So continuous on rear during the battle that is boosted. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Zorga in its card name, it gets plus 5k. Okay. And then when it boosts a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Zorga, it gets plus 2k till end of the battle. If your bind zone has 2 or more normal orders with different card names, choose one of your rear guards, gets plus 10k until end of turn, and retire it at the end of that turn.
Boy, I can't wait for Prison Dragon to be even bigger.
Oh my god. Yeah. I also like the implication that you have Blangmire and Liel as like these rivals, and then Zorga's over here that has this thing too, where you're like, oh, cool. He's in the fight also.
Yeah. Well, now that I think about it, like I think all of them have a card that does something like this.
Oh yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah.
Because I know Chris Rain has the one that gives it the guard restrict, although I don't think she gets the extra 2k. She just has the 5k.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I think like the plus 2k is something that only happens in this set. But yeah, I think this actually just does a lot for Zorga. One of the things about Zorga is like your rear guards can sometimes get stuck on the field and you have to get rid of them. So just like the fact that this just gets rid of them early so you don't have to think about it later is nice. Also means you can't like lose your prison dragons to stupid things like Blankmire binding it.
Right, that's true. It's the same kind of advantage that Great Nature has as a clan, where you do your stuff and then it disappears at the end of the turn so that your opponent can't fuck around with it. Sorry, I'm very curse heavy today because this is my first week back in school after spring break, and I've had to be like teacher mode, no cursing for the whole week.
I'm sure you can curse.
Kind of, not really.
You have to do it reasonably.
I don't want to hear the principal's words. I don't want to hear the B word. I'm like, really? Okay. Like, kind of awkward because we just started Shakespeare and I know they say bitch in there. Anywho, go for it.
Spray Art Tira. So when placed on rearguard circle, other than by a unit ability, Soul Blast 1, your opponent chooses one of their rearguards, returns it to the hand, and then if they return something, they discard a card, or they take a card from their hand and bottom deck it.
That's kind of neat.
It's an interesting. It is a form of removal for Lyrical, which is something I've been wanting for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the best one because it gives your opponent a lot of control over their board. So they can bounce back like an on-play unit and get value from it again, and then it lets them like curate their hand to an extent so they're not losing like the most beneficial thing for you. Like it'd be a lot better if you could just choose something on the field and bottom deck it.
Yeah, because I feel like if like doing that, you're like, I'm gonna bounce this friendly broccoli back to hand and take this crit trigger, put it on bottom of the deck.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy. You know,
like let me just put my over trigger back in the deck.
Yeah, that. Fuck.
So yeah, like I think it's interesting, and I'm glad that Lyrical is getting like some form of removal. It's just like the most clunky removal possible.
Yeah, like the art too. That she's like a tagger. That's kind of neat.
Yeah, I really like the art too. So it's kind of a shame that this isn't just a more competent unit.
Right.
Active Lyricler, Apchi. So when it's placed on Rigor Circle, other than by a unit ability, choose a normal order from your drop zone, put it into your hand, whatever. I really need to use the bathroom, so I'm going quickly.
Okay, we'll finish this up quick.
Yeah. Want to stare at the side of your... What the fuck? Ulfa. It's the fucking order card. Next.
Okay.
Dive to blue, Licorice. So this is the turn A Gundam support card. Counterblast 1, put a card with the name at the bottom of your deck. Draw a card. All of your units with the name get 5k. So this is the way for you to boost up power to all of your units. They will all end up approximately 28k columns. There's also like a grade 2, which I think is not a high rarity card that like lets you search your top 3 and then it just has boost.
Okay. Yeah, so that's Illusionless Strife. There's commons and rares in there, but Root Beer's got a piece. So, winner and loser of the set?
Winner and loser. Dragon Empire feels very uninspired this set.
I think so.
Like, winner... Like, Zorga, the new Zorga seems very strong. Like, Lyrical got a lot of competent support, even if it doesn't look like it at the top of the set. Like, Blankmire, I feel like reads more intimidating than it actually is.
Probably. Knowing my luck. Like, I'm going to build it, and then it's going to be like, oh, it's like medium plus or whatever.
Liel seems like the most, like, complete package. It has, like, a really strong defensive ability randomly, so it can, like, not lose to things. Like, the peak turn gets you 6 attacks, which is really good, and you have a lot of generic Keter rear guards that just gain a bunch of power.
Yeah, Keter has like a good set of generics to its name, which is nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think so. Probably Keter or Dark States. Probably makes that best. And like, while Zorga does make a big deal, I don't think the rest of Stoicheia was as.
Yeah, I think like Zorga is carrying Stoicheia a bit. Like Lyrical Monasterial is just kind of there, but it's not like bad. Same with like Brandgate and Lyrical are both in the place of like, yeah, this is fine. And then I feel like Dragon Empire. Like, Dragon Empire overall is probably fine, but it, like, reads the least impressive.
Right. So, I guess at the top you have, you know, black and white, purple and yellow fighting for the top, and then Dragon Empire, I guess, at the bottom, but that almost seems like by default, and then the rest are fine. So, yeah, who did you think won or lost? Comment below. Leave a like and all that good stuff. If you want to support the show, patreon.com/Nexus at night. Thank you to our $10 patrons. If you want to be one of these people, like Darren, Cole, Josh, Jeremy, GR, Ali, or Tony, you can support the show for $10 a month. You get your stuff a day early. You get a whole ass bonus show with me, Root Beer, and sometimes Matt's. If you support $5 a month, you just get tangents also. So that's cool. Cup of coffee a month. You can follow us at Nexus at Night in all the places. Follow Matt at Wiggums. 2 G's, 2 Z's, even though he's not here. How about you?
Find me at Plasma Eclipse.
Me at Atlas Novak in all the places. My my YouTube channel, The Epileptic Comic. My other podcasts, Generation Dan and Last Minute History. They're both on the same RSS feed, or check out the YouTube channel for Generation Dan. So thanks everybody for listening. And until next time, I was Atlas.
I'm Root Beer.
And have a good night.